So, welcome to Powerless Penguins United. This week I'm pleased to introduce Max D, who has kindly agreed to come along and share her experience on the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Thank you so much, Todd, for your service. It's amazing that we're the Saturday fixture for the foreseeable. Delighted to hear that from you last night. So thank you for your service and all you do for this group, and to everybody in the background that's doing service. Happy Saturday, everybody. It's great to be together again. I've been reflecting a lot, as I do anyway, through the practices that we're given in our program, and you know, the thing for me, we're in We Agnostics, chapter 4. We started that last week, and we read up to the point where we're going to start today. Obviously, at the bottom of page 45, the last paragraph. But what we covered last week was that second half of the first step, you know, the dash, and then it says, our life has become unmanageable. And we then progressed into this discussion around the fact that lack of power is our dilemma. Well, if lack of power is our dilemma, like it says in 45, well, where are we to find that power? Well, that's exactly the purpose of this book. So, I don't know, there's a lot of people on here this morning, and you might be thinking, okay, well, that all sounds fair and well, that lack of power is my dilemma. And we know that it says in the book that, you know, that's exactly the purpose of this book, but why is it not working for me? Why is it all still not happening? And for me, no matter where you are right now on your journey, whether you're only 1 hour into this fellowship, whether you're 30 days into this fellowship and your journey of recovery, or whether you're around 20 years on this journey, when we're in We Agnostics, it's bringing us all to the same place. So every single time, I think I said it last week, I go into this chapter, I get brought to the place of agnosticism. I get brought to the place where I lay aside my prejudice, like it says in the paragraph we're about to read. That's why this set-aside prayer that we're given at the start of this process is so incredibly important. It's one of the most powerful spiritual tools that we are given to set aside every single thing we think we know about our program, about the recovery, about God, so that we may be shown the truth. Please, God, show me the truth in this moment, not in the experience that I had when I started out an hour ago, not the experience that I had 20 years ago, but what I'm experiencing right now. And for anybody that's like, I can't get this, I can't do this, it hasn't worked for me this far, I can guarantee you that there is light at the end of the tunnel that you may be in right now. There 100% is a cast iron guarantee that if you follow, if, that very conditional word, if you follow the absolute and utter clear-cut directions that are set in this book, you will. It is cast iron guarantee that you will find access to a power that is greater than you. Because today, the bit that I've been reflecting on for myself, not about anybody in this room, for myself, is that actual meaning of laying aside my prejudice. Because I've got to, like in step 1, where it says we admit we're powerless physically and mentally over the illness of addiction, whatever it is that is your addiction. You know, we admit we let the idea in. With regards to this God thing, I have to let the idea in that there is a power. Not if, not but, not maybe. I have to let the idea that there is a power and it's not me. Because if any of us, and I'm talking to myself here, are sitting in here thinking that we can do this by ourselves and that this is all about us, I'm very much mistaken. Because this life is not about us. It's really not. And what this program enables us to do as we continue through this process is to understand, like it says at the bottom of the paragraph, at the very top of the page on 45, the last line in that top paragraph, our human resources as marshaled by our own self-will were not sufficient. They failed us utterly. They couldn't have been more precise in the details that they're giving us. I've got no more words to extend what they're saying in that part. But I just love the way that the writers of this book were so convinced by the solution that they had. I've said this time and time again, that they took the time, the effort, the energy, the consideration, the compassion, the kindness, the wherewithal, whatever way you want to describe it, to take the time and sit and write this all down so that 90 years later that we could experience what they experienced, even though they told us more than half of the original fellowship were agnostic. They're acknowledging the fact that we didn't believe this either. We didn't want to know anything about it. We had written the God thing off. We didn't want to believe in the existence of. It was unknown, it was unknowable, and we were willing to believe that we weren't going to commit to anything. But lo and behold, here we are. Something shifted, something changed in their experience. You see, the thing about it is that the miracle of healing is that through having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, nothing else. I couldn't be clearer about that. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, the miracle of healing in my mind is that my perception of the world has changed. The miracle is that my thinking about the world and everybody in it has changed. You haven't changed. You're still the same person that you were when I met you. But my thinking and my perception of the world and how I see the world has enabled me to see you differently. It has enabled me to accept you for the beautiful person that you are. It has enabled me to lay aside my prejudice, not only about God, but about everything on this planet. That's the power of what this God, and I call it God because it's easier. And we're going to talk about this as we go through, we agnostics. You choose your own definition. And there's pronoun after pronoun after pronoun after pronoun, words for God that you can choose. I choose God because it's just easier. You can choose the power that is greater than you, the God of my own understanding, whatever one you choose. And there's actually about 52 more versions of the word God, and you can choose whichever one you wish to associate with. I have to make clear because, after each session each week, I get a number of messages and I get a number of calls afterwards and people looking for clarification and all of that. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I said this right at the very beginning. I don't get involved in the windy arguments if you disagree with what I say. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to share the truth of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to give a comment on what the God of your own understanding is. And nor are you here to give the comment about what the God of my understanding is. Because the reality of it is, I don't talk about what the God of my understanding is, what the root of it is, where it comes from. I just talk to you, and my job in the rooms of this fellowship is only to share with you what that power has done. Doesn't matter what my association of this power is, what my idea is, what my conception of God is. It's nobody's business whether it's a male or female presence. It's nobody's business what my rhythm and routine is around the prayer and the meditation. Do you know what I mean? It's set out in clear-cut directions, 10, 11, 12, what I do with my daily reprieve. But what I will talk to you about in a very general way is what this power does for me. Doesn't matter what book I use. I use the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to access that power. But there's many religions across the world that have their own book. I don't talk about those books in these rooms because it's an outside issue. Doesn't matter to you. It's none of your business whether I have a Western practice, an Eastern practice, a Christian practice, a Jewish practice, a Muslim practice, a Buddhist practice. It's none of your business. And I certainly do not talk about it in the rooms. Because that's not what I'm supposed to do. I bring to the table and I bring to service how I found access to this power. The power that is greater than me, the God of my own understanding. All of the language that is in the book ensures that we bring this to life for the newcomer and take the complications out of it and make it accessible for the newcomer. And make it accessible for you, no matter how long you're around, because you might be sitting in this room thinking, I've got this God thing licked. When you gained access to the power some time ago, and right now you might be faced with something in your life that is a dilemma and you don't know how to get out of it. And you've started to believe that God isn't working for you, and you've fallen into the agnostic thinking. You've fallen into the agnostic temperament where you think this isn't enough. And this isn't working for me. How am I going to get out of this dilemma? Well, it comes back to the point that our human resources as marshaled by your will are going to fail you utterly. You have to continue to tap into. And I'm repeating that over and over and over again, because to remind us that we have this inner resource. So we have to tap into, like it says in the spiritual experience at the back of the book, 567. If I'm expecting the results to come from this external third dimensional world, from other human beings, by just sitting in meetings and listening to what they're saying, that's part of it, absolutely. But I've got to tap into what's inside me. And we're going to find out how we do that. And we're going to find out and search for how we access that power, energy, light, whatever on earth you want to call it. Call it what you want. So we know from last week, we can no longer evade, ignore, or escape the God thing. We're very, very gently moving into step 2. In the short form on page 59, it talks about the fact that we came to believe that this power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. Around the unmanageability of our life linked to the powerlessness over the drug addiction, alcohol addiction that we have. Restore us to sanity with our thinking. Of course, when they write it on page 59, it's in the past tense because they have come to believe, they've came to believe that through all of the practice past tense, they came to believe that this power greater than themselves has restored them to sanity. I have come to believe that on this journey, that I've been restored to sanity, 100%. And I continue every single day to understand that I'm coming to believe even more and more and more and more through the practice. The relationship builds and builds and builds and gets deeper and deeper and deeper the more I practice it. Might not be like that for you now, but it will become that if, the conditional word, if we do what is suggested. So if your life is unmanageable, the drink and drug thing might not have returned, but your life might still be unmanageable. You need to tap into that power because your human resources are failing you, and therefore there has to be something else. You can no longer escape, evade, or ignore the God thing. You need God's help. But you might be thinking, well, what on earth is she talking about? Well, what else do I have to do here? This is all very confusing. They go on in this paragraph on 45, the very last paragraph, to say, we know how he feels. Like, these people that wrote this book are talking from a place of understanding. They're talking from a place of empathy. They're talking from a place of, we know the people reading this book. We know what they're like because we are them. They're expressing the fact that they know exactly how we feel at this point. You know, on the previous page, they give us all of these little glimmers, don't they, last week? You know, perhaps it's going to be that way with you, but cheer up. I love that. You know, we think it's going to be really, really difficult, but they tell us on 44, but it isn't so difficult. They give us reassurance the whole way through this book, and particularly within this chapter about the fact that you need not be concerned. It will happen if you do what is suggested. I keep repeating this because I'm trying to emphasize and re-emphasize the points from the book like they do too. So they know how we feel. They're telling us the honesty about what they've gone through. We share his honest doubt and prejudice. Really important words there. Doubt and prejudice. Because whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, I'm filled with doubt, uncertainty, and prejudice about what you guys have been telling me about this God thing all along. Because you see, the God that I have is better than your God. Your God's not good enough for me. My God's the best in the world. So there ain't anything that you can tell me. There's nothing Miss Maggs here sitting in Belfast is going to be able to tell me about my God. No. Set aside your prejudice. Set aside your doubt. Set aside every single thing you think you know about what I'm going to be telling you about this thing in order to find a new experience with God. Because you'll never believe what's going to be revealed to you over the course of the next couple of weeks when you do that. Because is this you? Some of us have been violently anti-religious, absolutely anti-religious, raised in a school by nuns, forced to go to church every Sunday and practice all their sacraments and yada, yada, yada. Lay aside your prejudice about what I've just said there. Because if that's your experience too, it could be a block to you achieving an even better relationship with a power that you don't even know exists yet. To others, is this you? The word God brought up a particular idea of him, with which someone had tried to impress upon them during childhood. Yeah, when I came into the rooms, I was filled with prejudice when I heard you talking about God, because all I thought about automatically was what my mother and father had taught me as I grew up. And I was like, I'm not doing that malarkey. You can jog on. I'd been given this particular idea of God from a particular way of living that my parents had brought me up in. And I thought, well, this isn't going to work for me because I've never been into that idea of God. But that's not what they're talking about. When I came into the rooms, again, lay aside my prejudice. It's nothing to do with what I was brought up with necessarily. We're laying every single thing aside that we think we know about what this God is, because I'm telling you now, the God that you think it is that. Or the form in which it's taken it, the presence in which it's taken it right now is going to get deeper and deeper and deeper the more you set aside and lay aside your own prejudice, because you're filled with it. You've got judgments and opinions on everything and everyone. And as a result of having judgments and opinions on every single thing and everyone, you've got an opinion and a judgment of what you think they believe in. And you've got no idea. And I'm talking about myself here too. You know, I know how you feel. Perhaps we rejected that particular conception because it seemed inadequate. Certainly when I came into the rooms, that idea of my childhood God that was given to me by my parents was totally and utterly inadequate. You know, I was schooled in it. I even went to a treatment facility for 3.5 months that was run by this religion. Really? I've ended up here? Give me a break. But the beautiful thing about that treatment facility was they brought me in and I had to follow their practices for 3.5 months. But you know what they were crystal clear about? When I left that facility, they told me from the bottom of their hearts, find the God of your own understanding. Work the steps like the desperation of a drowning man. Have a spiritual awakening as the results of the steps that is set out in Alcoholics Anonymous, and find your God. They did not force theirs onto me. And as a sponsor, I'm not here to force anything onto anybody. I'm here to take their hand of the sponsee and place it into the hand of the God of their own understanding. So when we rejected that idea that we had because it seemed inadequate, we imagined we had abandoned the God idea entirely. Yeah, you know what? Something happened to me years ago. The God thing didn't work, so I'm just giving up on that. God doesn't work. It doesn't work. There's no way that you guys are going to tell me that it does. It doesn't work. Really? So why are you sitting in these rooms? If you're sitting in the fellowship, why are you sitting in these rooms if you think that you've abandoned the God idea entirely, yet you come to the meetings every day, possibly, and everybody talks about this power, and you're thinking that it's not going to work? There must be something that's attracting you to what we have. Like it says way back in step 1, what seemed at first a flimsy reed was, is the powerful and loving hand of God. So there's something bringing you to this fellowship. And if it's not you, what is it? Because this is the thing. We were bothered with the thought that faith and dependence on a power beyond ourselves was somewhat weak and even cowardly. Look at that word, the very top line. We were bothered with the thought. It's all about our thinking. We were bothered with the thought that faith and dependence on a power beyond ourselves was somewhat weak and even cowardly. You know, I'm not going to let my guard down here. I'm not going to let people see that I'm actually weak when it comes to this thing that they're all talking about. I'm just going to put on this bravado and let on that I've got this licked. I'm going to show everybody that I'm really confident about all of this stuff, and I know how to sort this addiction problem out. I'm completely and utterly powerless. I can't stop drinking. I can't stop using, but you know, I've still got control. What nonsense. I was telling myself, because I didn't know what it was to set every single thing aside. And this paragraph is so relevant to today. It is remarkable how relevant this paragraph is to today. Tune into this, because this is life today. And we're asking ourselves, is this you? Is this me? Because I can tell you, back before I had this spiritual awakening as the result of the steps, this is me. We looked upon this world of warring individuals, warring theological systems, and inexplicable calamity with deep skepticism. That's what's happening on this planet right now. All of that is happening right now. It's got nothing to do with what's happening in this room right now. It's nothing to do with what's happening in this fellowship right now. So set aside every single thing you think you know about warring individuals, warring theological systems, and all of the calamity that's happening on this planet at this moment. Set it all aside so that God may show you the truth about what's happening in your life. What matters in your life. We looked askance at many individuals who claimed to be godly. You know, all of those people, I think I mentioned, you know, those people in my world, not in yours, but in my world that hang on to the altar rails, those godly people, those deeply religious people, you know. I described myself last week as, you know, the street angel and the house devil. You know, it's just like they seem to be godly. Yet we have a different experience of them. But set that aside too, because it's not about those individuals, it's about you and how you gain access to what you need to gain access to. Doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. How could a supreme being have anything to do with it all? Notice that those words, supreme being, capitalized. Anywhere we see words like this going forward, capitalized in the middle of a sentence, they're the pronouns, another word for God, supreme being. What does that mean to you? It conjures up all sorts of beautiful things in my mind. Supreme being. Not a human being. Supreme. So ask yourself what that means to you. Is that the God of your understanding? Might be, might not be. Don't know. And who could comprehend a supreme being anyhow? It's difficult to comprehend that, isn't it? But we don't need to understand. There's actually nothing to understand right now. It's so simple we could miss it. It was so simple. I complicated it because you see, I'm that, you know, alcoholic number 5 from the doctor's opinion, able, friendly, and intelligent. And let me tell you, we're all intelligent beings in this room. But my intelligence was going to prevent me from getting to this solution. Because what I thought I knew was going to kill me. So how could we comprehend a supreme being anyhow? Yet, and I love this line, in other moments, we find ourselves thinking, there's that word again, our thoughts. We find ourselves thinking, when enchanted by a starlit night, who then made all this? There was a feeling of awe and wonder, but it was fleeting and soon lost. Just think about those moments in your life. Could be anything. They're talking here about the starlit night. Like if you look up at the clear sky on a night time, there's this, what I describe it as this like cosmic blanket that's wrapped around this planet. And you look up there and you see the formation of the stars, the moon in its different colors and its different position in the sky. You know, there was a whole beautiful thing this year about the alignment of the 7 planets and when we were going to see them, and Venus was appearing at a particular point in the year and we were able to see the strawberry moon and da-da-da-da-da. Gorgeous, beautiful, amazing. Wow. A canvas right above my head, ever changing, ever evolving, never the same, in constant motion, in a different shape and form every single moment of the day. Then I walk along the road, spot a nice car and think, oh, there you go, that's a nice car. The cosmic blanket experience that I had only 2 seconds before has disappeared. It's fleeting. It's lost. And I go back into this third dimensional world of existence. Of course I do, because, I live on this planet. I'm a human being. But that's how quick our mind can change. We all live in beautiful parts of the world where we can go out and see nature, Mother Nature. In Bill's story, another word for God, that might be the God of your understanding. What does those terms mean to you? Conjures up all sorts of beautiful things in my mind. I know my friend Chuck lives in a beautiful part of the world every now and again. Last week when he was here, I could see the beautiful palm trees behind him, swaying ever so gently in the breeze. I could see the amazing blue sky, another version of God's beautiful canvas. Who created all of that? Because like I said at the beginning, we've got to let the idea in that there is a power, and it's not us. How do the seasons know how to change? If we're going to keep to the nature thing of what they're talking about here in the book, how do they know how to change? How do the leaves know how to fall? How do the trees know to bud again? How do the tides know to come in and the tides know to go out again? Those other moments, like when you see a newborn baby, perfectly formed, tiny little toes, tiny little hands, little button nose, the smell of all of that. Who created all of that? We'll come on to that in a minute. Simple little things, simple, beautiful little things that happen and you go, wow, that moment. I go walking around where I live sometimes, and there's a young guy. I think he might only be about 17 or 18. It doesn't matter. And he walks his little dog around this street, and he doesn't talk very much at all. In fact, I've lived where I've lived for probably 6 years, and every single time I see that young guy, we look at each other. And he's got bright, bright, bright blue sparkling eyes. And for whatever reason, I'm drawn to that. And he just smiles and I smile and we move on. And that was happening for about 5.5 years and we never, ever, ever had a conversation. And then one day I'm standing at the bus stop and there he is with the little dog. And he comes down and he starts to talk. And those bright, bright, sparkling blue eyes. Wanting to know about my day. Wanted to know where I was going to. Beautiful, beautiful individual. But the reason why I'm sharing that with you is because when I look into that child's eyes, honestly, what I feel is looking back at me is the loving and powerful hand of God. When I look into that person's eyes, what I see is the God of my understanding looking right back at me. Because in every single human being on this planet, there is the power of God. There is that word namaste. You've heard me talk about it before. Namaste. That greeting. When we say namaste, what the meaning of that is the God in me sees the God in you. Isn't that powerful? That every single thing that you could make that connection. And I love the fact when I talk about some of this, I can see people on my screen smiling or laughing I often take it that they're laughing at me. And I know that that's not the case. And even if they are, that's okay. Because something has happened with whatever I'm seeing that has touched something inside you that has either disturbed you about the God thing and you don't want to hear it, or you resonate with it because you've experienced it. Either way, it doesn't matter. In this moment, set aside every single thing you think you know to have the new experience with God, so that you may be shown the truth about what it is inside you that you need to see and hear and feel. That's what We Agnostics is all about. It goes on to say, yes, we of agnostic temperament have had these thoughts and experiences. That previous paragraph, I've had all of these thoughts and experiences 100%. And in any given second of the day, I can drop into agnostic temperament. I can wake up in the morning filled with the power and of course walk downstairs and go, what the actual, this is going to be a bad day. This person's annoying me. That person's annoying me. I haven't even got to work yet. And my boss is giving me jip. The dog won't move out of the way. Rah, 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 rah. Agnostic temperament. I go into this, what? I'm having a bad day already. I haven't even left the house. God's not going to sort this out to me. I don't believe in the power. I don't believe that it has the power to be able to sort my day out. The feeling of wonder and awe was fleeting and soon lost at any given point of the day. But the beauty of the practice that we're given is that we can soon get over it if we choose to. I can change my thinking about something in a millisecond if I choose to. And, they go on again to give us reassurance here. They tell us, let us make haste to reassure you. The people that wrote this book want us so much to get this solution. They really want us to get this solution. So they're really at pace to reassure us, to help us, and to support us through this. And they're honest. They tell us we found that as soon as we were able to lay aside our prejudice, set aside your prejudice, your old ideas, your fixed ideas about even the God that you have right now, set it all aside and express even a willingness to believe in a power greater than ourselves. What happened? We commenced to get results. That's how simple it is. Willingness. Even though it was impossible for any of us to fully define or comprehend that power, capitalized, another word for God, which is God. Not if, not but, not maybe, which is God. At this point in the program, at this point in the journey, it is not telling you that you have to believe now so that you can move on with the rest of the steps. I have heard people in the rooms, I've heard people in the room say, okay, we can't get started because you have to have a God in your life. So, call me when you've got a God in your life and then we can start the program. What? What is that all about? That's not what the requirement is. We come to believe that this power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. We have to go through this process of the 12 steps to gain access to that. That's what enables us to have the spiritual awakening as a result of the steps. It doesn't say you have to believe now before you can move into step 3. No, that's not what it says. And that's not the experience of it. We complicate this for people in the rooms. At this point, all we're requiring is willingness. And I don't care whether you have a tiny grain of sand of willingness or something even smaller than that. I don't care. Willingness is all you need. And what is willingness? Basically, it's not being opposed to in your mind. Don't be opposed to the suggestion that there might be something better than what you have now. Even if you have a God of your own understanding, there might be something more that is going to enable you to experience something else. A deeper relationship, a deeper understanding, a deeper connection. I don't know. But willingness is all you need right now, nothing else. Don't be opposed to in mind anything that's cropping up the whole way through this treasure trove of a gem, of a chapter that is so powerful. Like in Bill's story, you know, his mind snapped shut to the worldly clamours. Don't let the worldly clamours get in. This last paragraph on 46 is like, oh, amazing. Tune into this. And over the next week or so, I would sit with this paragraph. I would sit with these last couple of pages that we went through over the last couple of weeks. My goodness me, the treasure that is in here is just, it blows my mind every single time I read it. And what also blows my mind that the people that wrote this book, can you imagine what it was like trying to write this chapter and bringing it alive for everybody and all of their experiences of it? How exciting it would have been. I get excited when my sponsees say, you know what, Mags, it's happened. It's happened. Or when they send me a picture of them out and about in nature, or, you know, their children, or they sent me something and it's like, now I know what you mean. Now I know what they're talking about. You know, they see the relevance of tiny, tiny little things that they weren't awake to previously. The color of a flower, you know, the rain coming down. They, you know, good food or whatever. They start to appreciate all of these tiny little things because they acknowledge the fact that this life is not about us. It's no longer about me. So there is a little bit of relief here, much to our relief, they say, because they were finding this tricky. They were finding this complicated. They were making it more difficult. But much to their relief, we discovered, like finding treasure, we discovered we did not need to consider another's conception of God. Like, seriously? Underline, asterisk, highlight, circle, bubbles around this. I don't know what you need to do to have this jump out in your book and into your mind to let you know that another's conception of God does not matter. When people share back in the rooms, like, well, Max, I kind of agree with what you're saying there. But the other thing is, my God's better than yours. And what you're saying about your God is nonsense. Really? Don't come back with things like that in the rooms. That's not what it's about. We're here to share our experience as to how we accessed it and what this power does for us and how we maintain our relationship with it. That's what we're here for. That's what our purpose is. To enable the newcomer to get excited about this stuff. Like realistically, if anybody's in this room or listening to this recording, there's probably not very many people that want to hang out with me the way I get on about we agnostics, but that's okay. I probably don't have very many friends in the world, but I'm not really that bothered because the most important relationship in my life is with this power, and through that power I've got relationships with millions of people over the world who I don't even know, but I'm so connected with them because we are one. I don't need to have loads of people in my life anymore. If they're there, great. If they're not, great. Either way, it doesn't matter. Because this power has enabled me to connect to you on a level that is so much deeper and more fulfilling and so much more fun and so much more relaxed. Because it isn't about me anymore. This is the important thing. Our own conception, however inadequate, was sufficient to make the approach, to take that one step forward, even take half a step forward, even take a millisecond of a heartbeat moment that, oh, do you know what? There could be something here. I can't comprehend or tell you what it is, but there might be something here that is different, because what I have isn't working. But what these people are telling me is that there is something. I don't even know what that is, but I don't really care, because even myself sitting here now, I can't articulate to you what the description of my God is. I can't, but I can feel it. I understand it. I've experienced it. I can give you the words. I can describe it, or to a certain extent. But even the words that I have are so inadequate to articulate what it actually feels like. There are no words. A lot of the times there are no words. It's just like, it is. It's just there. I know. So that little step forward to make the approach and to effect a contact with him, no matter how inadequate. And as soon as we admit it, so as soon as we let the idea in of the possible existence of a creative intelligence, there's another word for God. That springs up all sorts of beautiful things in my mind. What does that mean to you, creative intelligence? That could be the God of your understanding, or spirit of the universe. I love the spirit of the universe. What does that mean to you? Love it. Because I found through my understanding and my connection with this power that is greater than me, that the spirit of the universe is always, always conspiring in my favor. Always. Never against me. Never ever against me. Never ever moves away from me. Always there. Never goes anywhere. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, like I'm just a little carry case for God, the inner resource. I carry it everywhere. I might not tap into it all the time, but it's there. That spirit of the universe that's underlying the totality of things. Get this, people, get this. We began to be possessed of a new sense of power and direction. Power in that term, not capitalized, meaning strength. So we began to be possessed of a new sense of power and direction, provided we took other simple steps. We have to have a spiritual awakening as the result of the steps. We've got to follow the directions. But get this, I love the word possessed. In religious terms, the word possessed brings up the idea of evil, doesn't it? They were possessed. Brings up the term, and there you might have a fixed idea about that word. Oh, I don't want to be possessed by something. Or, if you've been in a relationship where somebody has treated you like their possession, oh no, I don't want to be possessed by something. But set aside every single thing you think you know. Because another definition for the word possessed is that we began to be blessed with. We began to be blessed with a new sense of power and direction. And if you don't believe in the word blessed, because you don't want to be blessed, well, set aside every single thing you think you know. And that, you're going to own this new direction. You're going to own this new sense of power. It's going to be yours, your own conception. You see, when you sit with me as a sponsee, we're not going to get any barrier here. We're going to keep on setting aside every single thing we think we know about every single fixed idea and old idea that you have about what you think God is, because it's not that. And this is just amazing. Their experience when they put it in this last couple of lines. We found that God does not make too hard terms with those who seek him. The easiest relationship I've ever been able to build in my life is with this power that I never knew existed, never thought I needed, can't even describe it. But he did not make hard terms of it whatsoever. To us, the realm of spirit, another word for God. What does that mean to you? Beautiful. The realm of spirit is broad, roomy, all inclusive, never exclusive or forbidding to those who earnestly seek. It is open, we believe, to all men. It's there for the taking. It's there for everybody. It's not exclusive. It's totally and utterly inclusive for every single person in this room. You know, like it says on page 17, if there is a solution, we are normally people that would not mix. We're from all forms of society, all social backgrounds, all religious backgrounds, all political backgrounds. None of that matters when you're sitting in this fellowship trying to help other people. None of it matters. The room that we sit in, the fellowship of the spirit that we become part of, is broad, it's roomy, it's all inclusive. If you need help, you get it. If you want to tap into this source, you will receive it. And do you know what we agnostics teaches us? How to access it. It helps us see what this conception is. It helps us understand that all we need is willingness. It helps us understand that we can no longer evade, escape, or avoid this thing that is greater than us. So sit with that over the next week. If the unmanageability of your life is consuming you, if your resentments are consuming you, if the fact that you're not getting this is consuming you, there is an easier, softer way. And it's this. You get a sponsor. You keep on turning those pages. You let the book do the work. I cannot emphasize enough how we agnostics, this treasure trove of accessing this amazing, amazing thing that is this power, and how it is so transformative. And like, this book, the words, 90 years, publications, not one word of it is altered in 164 pages. Not one word of it has altered since these people took the time to write it down. Yet the miracle of this is that it has the power to alter me and every single thing about me. Mind, body, spirit, soul. It's there for the taking. I'll leave it at that, Laws.